I'm not on my chair this week, and you just covered the entire yeah, yeah. We're gonna take it too. Okay. Welcome back to the Business of Becoming. I am your host, Stephanie. And if you're new here, I help high achieving people who feel alone at the top find peace, purpose, and the next version of themselves. And if you're not new here, welcome back. And if you're not new here, you know that I'm not in my studio because today has been a day and this week has been a week. So I wanted to make sure that I'm giving you guys the content that you guys want. Today's episode, I'm going to talk about kind of something that I'm so familiar with, and someone told me the other day that I was an expert in. So I'm going to take that one and I'm gonna share with you guys because I love networking, and I know that this is something that people say all the time, but they really, really, really don't mean it. And there's days where I don't like networking as much, and I think I've done a podcast before about it. Hold on, go check it out. I find myself comfortable now than I never did before. Before I was always trying to prove something. Before I was always trying to, walk in there with the nicest shoes and the nicest bag and feel like I had to, show people what I was worth. And in reality, in all my 15 years of doing business, I've noticed that people don't really care much about that. Some people do, but there's others that when you actually want to formulate a connection and build a relationship off of that, and that would be fruitful and that can actually bring you guys some money, they don't care about that. They don't really care. They don't value it as much, especially high achieving people. I think they value much more who you are, who they're doing business with. If you're going to take care of them, take care of their clients, take care of whatever service, they want from you, if you're really going to do that kind of job. And also they want to just know that you're real and that you're honest and that you're human. So I love networking. I think it's great. I've done a bunch of networking this week. And sometimes you go in and you think, dude, like, how is me being here going to make me money? Sometimes we go to networking events all the time and you don't really know if anything's going to stick. But today I'm going to share with you guys 3 secrets, 3 questions. So they're my secret questions on what I ask when I'm at a networking event so that I can stay memorable. I don't like to ask just regular questions like, hey, how are you? What do you do? That's cool. That's great. Very common, very normal. But I like to ask 3 specific questions when I'm there, especially if there's someone that I really want them to remember me. And the first question is, what are you excited about the most coming up? This is so simple. This is nothing crazy, but it gives a chance for people to take a step back and not just say what they do. They can say what they do in answering the question, but they can also say maybe something more relatable, like, oh, well, I'm actually really excited that I'm going to Europe this summer with my kids, or I am opening up a new office in this state. You give people kind of a chance to show you who they are personally, and allows you to have them also break away just from that networking mentality that maybe they also have because they're there with you. So everyone's going to be asking these questions of what do you do, and what's your position, and yada yada. When you come in and you say, what are you most excited about now, or this quarter, or this month, or maybe, hey, look, we're in August. What are you most excited about, looking towards the end of the year? And you give people to kind of open up and give you a little bit of who they are. And from then you can easily, be relatable. If they're talking about a trip, talk about your travels, talk about why you want to travel or where you've traveled. Thankfully, I was able to travel when I was younger. So I can relate to so many people that have traveled everywhere. I did a bunch of mission work, which that would be another episode if you guys want to hear. But it gives you a chance to be relatable, and it gives them a chance to relax and talk about something that they actually enjoy outside of being, in business. The second question that I usually ask is, what is the biggest problem, or what is the biggest thing you're trying to figure out right now? And I typically ask this to business owners because then I kind of shift the tone a bit after I've become relatable with them. And they can probably tell me, in my industry, they tell me about, what laws are changing that are affecting the industry that we're in, which is the adjusting industry, the claims industry, people, property damage, the whole 9. Or they can tell me, one of the biggest things I'm trying to figure out right now is how to have VAs, or how to have, adjusters that are excited, or a sales team that is motivated. And I think when you're asking them also, what are you trying to figure out right now? You're quietly in business asking them, is there something I can figure out for you? That's the way I go about it, because I know when I'm networking in certain spaces that there's things I can offer and there's services I can offer to people, because that's why I'm going networking, duh, right? And I think that you should change your perspective to that. Instead of just outright saying, this is what I do and this is how ask them first, what are you trying to figure out right now? What's the biggest struggle you're seeing? What's the thing right now that is blocking you from trying to reach your next level? And again, I know we're talking about networking, but these questions kind of go around anything, even small talk. They're probably better. And the last question that I have is, who is someone great that you would like to meet? And sometimes this question kind of lands in a funny way, because, they're thinking, is this person alive or dead? And it's not one of those questions. In business, it really is a great question for me to ask someone that I'm just starting to network with or starting to know, because if they tell me, well, I really need to meet somebody in this industry, or I really need to meet this kind of person, or whatever the case may be, this is the way that you stay remembered. This is the way that you come back into this conversation, and people actually love this, because maybe you might not have the answer to what they, or who the person they need to meet. Maybe you don't know that person thus right now, but when you do get to meet somebody that would be a perfect fit for that individual that you networked with, then you now are not just remembered, but now people genuinely know that you are what you say, and that you do what you say, and that you hold these small, maybe irrelevant conversations to them, but important to you. You hold these conversations and you do something with them, because we are in a generation of people that love to talk, but don't actually do the walking. So coming back after a networking event and saying, hey, remember, Jim, you told me that you really needed to meet somebody to help you with your sales staff, or you really needed to, figure out that problem with your new CRM. There's a guy I really think you guys can connect, and I think that this would be great for you. Now, you have no interest there, maybe, but now you're remembered, number one. And number two, you never know when that person is going to call you and when they're going to need your services now. Because I guarantee you, when they will need a service that you provide, they're going to think of you first, because now you're lingering in their mind, like, wow, this person made something happen for me that they don't have an interest in it at all. And now you're memorable. Now you're somebody that is somebody to them, which I think is incredible. And that's honestly one of my favorite secrets to use in networking, is that, because typically I am the person who knows somebody that can help that person. And a lot of times I don't really get much from anything, but I do get, one, respect, two, another conversation, another chance to touch base with this individual, and three, I have seen it in my own personal profession where it does come back to me, and people do think of me after, and they say, hey, look, I have this claim for you. I have this other person that you need to meet. And you start begin to have these really professional relationships. So if you're struggling right now, trying to cultivate professional relationships, I encourage you to try these 3 questions. Whether it's at a networking event, whether it is at your clients, whether it's whatever the case, wherever you're at, don't make networking or trying to build a good reputation or trying to, expand yourself socially in business. Don't make it boring. Make it something you can enjoy, and kind of make it a hobby to help people. No matter what service you're in, no matter what industry you're in, make it a habit of yours to help people without your benefit. Because when you do that, I promise you, it will be beneficial eventually. Okay? Because no matter what, you are still building a great rapport, and you're still building a good reputation, because you're being that person that's just being helpful. And everybody wants to work with that person at some point. You just got to take your time. Don't be greedy, and wait for your opportunity. but that doesn't mean that you have to block somebody else's opportunity to be blessed. I don't want you to miss that part. I think not enough people talk about this, which is people remember people who create value for them. Whether it's generating business or solving a problem or connecting them with somebody that is actually really helpful for them. So people remember that. Don't forget it. And the last thing I also want to put in here, which I think is so vital. Okay, when you do any networking event or when you're, meeting people, maybe you're meeting a new group of friends. I don't know. The follow-up. Do not forget the follow-up. Please, if you meet somebody interesting or you think that they would be, a great addition to your book of business, right? Don't forget to follow through with them, follow up with them every now and then, even if something that you talked about from the first question about what are you most excited about, and it was something about Europe or this or a trip or whatnot, or their kids or whatever, and something comes along the way, in the week or whatever, that reminds you of that conversation, you can send the pic and just be human. And again, touch base and create that relationship. Oh, hey, thought of you when you told me about this. I hope you're I hope you're preparing well, or I hope you're already having a great time on that trip, yada, yada, yada. It's important. Don't forget the follow-up, please. Don't just stick 15 business cards in your pocket or your purse or your wallet and never do anything with that. Value your time when you show up to these events. Value your time when you go out to dinner with people or with friends. Value it, because you need to understand that time, it is the most important thing you can give anyone, is your time. And that goes for dating, that goes for everything. But right now we're talking about networking, so let's stick to that. The next time you find yourself in a networking event or at a business dinner, I'm talking to people who are high achieving. So sometimes we do have an issue trying to network, or trying to be relatable, because we're trying to work a room and we're trying to meet everybody and know that everybody's there, knows you, and you want to put your business out there as much as you can. Take a step back. It's not about working the entire room. It's about being able to actually connect with people and the people that you want to connect with. So I have a whole other episode on what you should do prior to going to a networking event. But to keep this one short and sweet, don't forget these 3 questions. What's something that excites you right now, or excites you this quarter? And what's something that you're trying to figure out? What's something that's probably being a little chaotic or a little troublesome in your industry? And the last one, which is, who is someone great for you to meet right now? Because you're low-key asking them, what problem can I help you solve? And they don't know it yet, but that's your secret. So thanks again for listening to me. Today is less emotional. It's less all about, I don't know, trauma, this, that. Today's more about real business and becoming greater in business. It's still mindset. It's still powerful. It's still tools that they're so important for you to know as a business owner. And they're so important for you to know as someone who is in business. Maybe you don't own a business, but you do PR, you do marketing for a business or a company. These are things that are going to make you valuable and are really going to level you up. I got to go. So I'm just giving you what I've got. And I know that hopefully this lands with you or with somebody that you know. And if you want to hear more of these quick tips, let me know. I'm fond of it. I like it. It's the stuff that I grew up doing, and it's honestly made all the difference for me in business. And I love it. So I'll see you guys hopefully on the chair next week. And if not, you'll see me on the run somewhere else, because that's my life. My life is on the run. And if you haven't heard that, that's my phone blowing up. So thank you guys again. I'll see you guys on the next one.